An earthquake that rewrites history, an abandoned mine shaft, the death of a legend, and an ongoing criminal investigation. This is the darkest chapter in the 501 saga. This is the 1906 Bunkhouse episode, now on Dan and Dano.
We last left off in 1901, and San Francisco was the fastest growing city in the country. Then 1902 came, and the company had its saddest news ever. Beloved founder, icon, and all-around gentleman, Mr. Levi Strauss, passed from this world. He had a big funeral procession and was laid to rest in a private tomb. He left a sizable amount to local charities, and the stock of his company to his two nephews. His unique quality to pool resources, fill a need, and do it with integrity made him successful in business. Providing for his family and seeing his name plastered on everything was enough to make him smile. 1900 to 1904, San Francisco was suffering from the bubonic plague. Yes, the same Black Death that wiped out 1/3 of Europe 600 years ago. It started in the cramped quarters of Chinatown, and the authorities assumed it would be contained, so they ignored informing the public. Not to mention that for about 60 years since San Francisco was a city until 1920, folks could be kidnapped and put into slavery on a ship. It was called being shanghaied. Can you imagine? You pick up a new pair of 501s and decide to wear them rigid out of the store. You go to a saloon to whet your thirst. You get clonked over the head, and when you come to, you're 50 miles out to sea, and you're being forced to swab decks at gunpoint for the next 2 years. If you survived, then that's one way to break in your 501s and get some awesome fades. But that's the eternal optimism of a denim head. The early 20th century carried a lot of optimism, in theory, but daily life was still verging on the catastrophic at every turn. For all its geological splendor, San Francisco has one major fault: the San Andreas Fault Line, which divides California from the American continent. Earthquakes are bound to happen in this part of the world. April 18th, 1906. An estimated 7.9 magnitude earthquake hit the city. It was borderline catastrophic. A magnitude over 1,000 times a nuclear bomb. The earth split open as much as 6 meters wide. The cramped building areas meant to pile in residents for the growing city were no match for such a quake. The quake hit at 5 a.m. It hit South Market the hardest. Folks roamed the streets looking for loved ones, just trying to find word of what happened and what awaits. By 8 a.m., San Francisco was under martial law. Around 9 o'clock, the newly built gas pipes burst and became the catalyst, and it just took one flick of flame from someone who began cooking breakfast. This would be known as the Ham and Eggs Fire, the most devastating fire in the city's history. As the fire spread from Hayes Valley through the waterfront, Telegraph Hill to Nob Hill, the fire department was helpless. There were at least 12 fires raging through the city. The water pipes had burst, and supplies of fresh water, as well as any ability to extinguish the fire, were lost. The cheap wooden tenement houses layered upon each other fueled the flames to temperatures hot enough to incinerate the brick buildings in the financial district. People took refuge in what buildings they could find, but even those were just about to crumble. By 2:30 p.m., the last telegraph message was sent, citing the city was destroyed. All day long, the sound of dynamite rang through the city as the army tried to divert the flames. It was useless. It burned 80% of the waterfront, south of Market, and the adjacent neighborhoods. The populations were moved to outskirt neighborhoods like the Haight. All they could do was watch the city go up in flames. 3,000 souls perished that day. And flaming up in the wreckage were The original bear flag from the 1846 Bear Flag Revolt. California's one true relic for the 3 weeks it was its own country. The Call Building, America's first skyscraper. The Levi's factory on Fremont Street and the headquarters on Battery Street, along with all the documents and historical evidence to verify a lot of the questions this channel and we viewers asked to date. A lot of Levi's history is left as speculative legend. There's the priceless treasures, those scant in remains. They serve as some evidence for the company's history. And there is the improving documentation of post-1906 Levi's, where we can check documents, samples, and dead stock. Jacob Davis would return to the ashes. He had failed in business at least 6 times before becoming a tailor. He was 42 years old when he finally found success after patenting riveted garments. To his battle-hardened soul, this would just be a hiccup. But now, at the age of 75, he knew his time had come. He could lend advice, but it was truly up to the next generation to orchestrate the great rebuild. In 1908, Atropos of the Fates cut the thread of the master tailor. I want to give a huge shout out to Fitsanu Boone-Prossert, my gold member. Join the Patreon, you'll get extra features, advanced video releases, and be supporting the channel. You can also support the channel by going to Unbleached Apparel, and whatever you order from them, you'll get a discount of 5% off, plus a couple bucks will go my way if you use the code DENINDENIM. Let's start out with the info tag, and then we'll fill in the history from there. Bunkhouse Vault Piece. Sometime around 1911, a miner working in the eastern slopes of California's Sierra Nevada mountains left behind a few personal items, including his Levi's workwear, in a bunkhouse. Discovered almost 90 years later, these artifacts have since made their way to our archives. This season, Levi's vintage clothing recreates this rich moment of heritage with bunkhouse vault pieces. Just as they were then, the Vault 1906 Bunkhouse 501 jeans are made of sturdy 9-ounce denim with 2 back pockets. The left was a new addition at the time. A back cinch, suspender buttons, exposed rivets, single needle arcuate stitch design, and a 2-horse leather patch. The finish has an authentic, hand-worn look with whiskers in the upper thigh, wear and wrinkles on the knees, and holes in the back right-hand pocket that have been carefully repaired. Pure natural indigo mixed with raw earth inspires the denim's unique blue-black color. The jeans, or waist overalls as they were called, are packaged in a larger version of a muslin tobacco pouch found with the miner's effects. Inside, you'll also find a resist-dyed bandana and a design of the period, as well as a reproduction of the page in the 1911 Los Angeles Examiner found in the bunkhouse floor. The gray Cambra work shirt slides over the head. The miner had replaced a few of the fasteners, and so have we. The buttons are made from coconut and bone. The shirt is branded with the signature early 20th century Ellis & Co. label. Handcrafted with every historical detail, these limited edition bunkhouse vault pieces have a wearable style that's undeniably Levi's, authentic to the core. We don't know if our miner struck gold, but here's your chance to lay claim to an original. They are called the bunkhouse pair because they were found in a bunkhouse. The vault pairs are usually named after people or places related to where they were found or how they were acquired. No owner laid claim to this pair, and instead of referencing the city it was found in, they chose the building. A bunkhouse would be where the miner was spending his free time while he was staking his claim or working in a mine. In a sense, it was a eureka find to get this shirt, and Levi's decided to keep the tobacco pouch and newspaper clipping with the jeans. It made for a cool reproduction, and then it headed back to the vault. 10 years later, in 2017, the pair went missing. Levi's historian Tracy Panic put out the word, and the denim community posted blogs about it. Now, to this day, 7 years later, there is still no word on them. This breaks my heart, because the denim community is one of the most honorable groups I've encountered. Chatting and doing sales with some of you guys has restored a lot of my trust in humanity. But at the Levi's Vault, you might have a lot of visiting vendors, viewers, and crew. I don't want to put out any blame. With such a large collection, some things are bound to go missing. I think it is weird that the pair to go missing is the one dated to the year that marks the separation between Levi's legendary foundings and the documented 20th century. In some recent news, 2024, the Bing Crosby tuxedo is now believed to have been found after 50 years of his niece looking for it. So, try to keep that optimism. If they do recover it, then maybe they'll reproduce it again. The 1906 Bunkhouse 501s are 9-ounce denim, styled in the traditional Davis cut. They have exposed rivets, 2 rear pockets, and all the details that stayed the same from 1901 to 1922. Of the distressed recreations, this one is in darker tones. Overall, it's a very wearable pair. There's a lot of dirt stains on the front, but no major holes. The recreated pairs seem to have slightly different distress details than the Vault historic pairs. Look at the rip in the back right pocket. That's not as significant in the recreations. But it is there, and the whole pair is pretty close in detail. You've got this cute little under the back pocket lower butt cheek hole. I do love weft remaining rips. And that's one of the special things you get out of denim. You've got lower than middle arcuate. I believe this pair was made twice by LVC, once in 2006 as a 10-ounce denim, and then again in 2007 as a 9-ounce denim. The Vault pair came with a couple extra goodies. There's also the Celebration Pack if you want more. The pair came with a special item, a reprinting of the Los Angeles Examiner dated August 22nd, 1911. That's also the same date as Kerouac's poem C and my wedding anniversary. One side is an editorial page. There's a comic strip and some articles. Young man with feeble mustache, and give everybody a chance for a home. I got this clip for the newspaper from Gotta Be Real channel. Check out his video. You can also see him try on the whole ensemble. He is known as the Levi's King of Korea. He's got an amazing collection of historic and recreated items. The 501s come with a muslin bag. It's meant to replicate the tobacco pouch the miner had in his possessions. The Vault pair also came with a blue-white polka dot bandana. I love this bandana. I got a similar one, and even got a baby dress, and I think I have 2 dress shirts with this pattern too. Then there's the camber shirt. A heavily distressed camber that I believe was once a grayish tone, but the LVC item has been warped brown. Some of the buttons have been replaced with wooden or bone buttons. I love it. I have wooden buttons on my Canberra. I want to modify my Henley with some bone buttons and my wife's shirt with amber buttons. Easier said than done. If you think these denim channels are a rabbit hole, like one long rabbit hole, then the world of buttons is a multitude more in depth. And unless you know exactly what you want, it is discouraging. Then there's the skirt for ladies. It takes the details of the 501s and modifies it into a skirt, complete with leather patch and cinch. This item reflects some of the incredible versatility and creativity for the LVC line. Most of the game with the historic recreations is to make them as accurate to the original as possible. But there were a few items that take what was historical and twist them to make something new. There very well were folks who modified 501s to make skirts, bags, and other items throughout history. In 2013, LVC made a duck triple pleat blouse and thought it was more of an Imagine item. But then, just a year ago, Indiana Jeans dug one up. It's weird when life and even history imitate art. But one more word about the skirt. I think most of the LVC items are gender neutral. My wife wears some of my shirts and jeans, but she really likes to have some more feminine items. She likes the 701s and the frilly shirts with more lace on them. I love when LVC makes matching items for the family. If you have any of these items, then they are great collector's items. Speaking of collectors, let's talk about Johnny Depp for a second. Why should Johnny Depp get a section in the 501 saga for 1906? Well, he wore the Bunkhouse LVC pair to a big Hollywood premiere. And this was in 2007. I think to Pirates 2. He probably didn't steal the Vault originals. A viewer brought this to my attention, but Johnny Depp could totally afford original Levi's historic items. Yet he chooses to wear the LVC recreations, and that's pretty cool. Besides the Bunkhouse pair, he's had some headshots taken with the LVC S506 jacket. These haven't been made since around 2000. I do love that jacket. Another word to say about Johnny Depp is an overall Levi's icon. In his earlier work in the 80s, he got known for 21 Jump Street, most famously wearing Levi's. You can also see him in the movie Cry Baby wearing cuffed up denim. Unfortunately, it's not salvage. Otherwise, John Waters makes great movies. The 1906 LVC Bunkhouse overall collection, celebration pack, skirt, these are pretty cool in the collection. You know, there's some top reasons that this is a very wonderful pair. You have the historical nod to 1906, destroyed the factory, rebuilt the same year, the Valencia factory, and also this cusp in the time of the historical elements of it. There's some cool limited edition goodies. The muslin bag, newspaper bandana, matching camera shirt. Limited edition, it's the only year of 501s that really reflects this specific time period. You have 1901s, then you jump all the way to 1915s. Of course, there's 1911 333s, but those aren't in the 501 collection, but we will cover that in the next episode. You also have that touch that this pair went missing, and they're very unlikely to recreate it while it still is missing, although that is kind of an interesting way of searching for it. I think it's a wonderful pair if you're able to get them, any of the items. Do you have the stolen pair of Bunkhouse? I'd like to hear your story. We'll conclude about the great rebuild in the next episode. The 201s. The 1911 333s and Lot 2 items. Lot 2 and 3 budget items. It's going to be a jam-packed episode. I'm Dan. Thanks for watching. Love your jeans.